Hi, everyone. I hope you're having a great week. It was awesome to see so many of you this past Sunday. Miss you all. It's great when we can get together as a family. We've been studying prayer. We've looked at some passages, some areas, some prayer that the Apostle Paul, the early Christian Paul, prayed. And this past week, we looked at the book of Philemon. And Paul there prayed, in essence, I pray to this person, Philemon, that you would continue to be active in sharing your faith, so that, Paul always has a so that you would come to understand the fullness of all that you have in Christ. That is a prayer that I want to encourage you to pray for other Christians, that they would be active in sharing their faith so that they would understand the fullness of everything that we have in Christ. When we share our faith, something so amazing happens. It's like when we tell the story again, we're hearing it and it's working in our life. And sometimes we think, well, I need to know more, I need to be more confident, or whatever the lie is that Satan throws at us to prevent us from sharing our faith. We need to have that before we can. It's actually the opposite of what Paul is saying. I pray that you would share your faith so that you'd know more, so that your faith would grow, so that you would come to understand the fullness of all you have in Christ. It's when we share our faith, and when we talk about forgiveness, that we recognize the forgiveness we have. When we talk about supernatural peace, that we feel that supernatural peace. When we talk about the hope we have in Christ, that we feel that hope that we have in Christ. When we talk about God always providing for us, that we recognize the blessings of His provisions. When we're actively sharing our faith, we come to a greater understanding of all that we have in Christ. So some really practical ways this week to share our faith. We can be loving but direct. Sometimes we just got to say, hey, you know what? This is what I found. This is what I believe to be true. And I believe it can help you. Just be direct. Not jerks, but direct, loving. We also share our story. Our greatest testimony is the story, the work of what God has done in our life. People can argue doctrine and theology and which translation of the Bible we use and any of that stuff, but they cannot argue your story because it's your story. Share the work, share the testament of what God has done in your life. And we can live as Christ died for us to live. When we live in that way, when we live and walk in forgiveness, when we live and walk in joy in the midst of all situations, when we live and walk in peace, even in the midst of chaos, people look and they say, I want that. You've got something. Now, they may not be willing and ready at that particular moment to surrender everything to Christ, but they see it. And there's enough grace to go around. There's enough grace to share with people. We live out our faith. We live out those promises that Christ has given us, our new identity in Christ. And then we invite people, not invite people to go to church, which is fine. I mean, do that. That's awesome. But rather invite people to be the church. Invite people to experience the church. Invite them to the block party that we've got coming up on August 28th. So we really need your help running some games. Why don't you come? Or invite them to come and be a part of something that's going on with Haiti or something. Invite them to experience, to be the church, so that they can start to experience the fullness of Christ. So I pray that you may be active in sharing your faith so that you may come to the fullness of understanding of all that you have in Christ, because that's really, really good news. God bless you. I hope that I will see you on Sunday.